everyone. Thank you. Nagwinche Donsha Shalak Nai, Shojri Krysten Walker Oji, Seidu Gwatsan Ihli, Shiahan Nai, Don Sat Rob Walker Goji, Shitsu Sat Shitsi Nai, Virginia Sat David Sweetser Senior Goji. So hi everyone, I'm Krysten Walker. I'm the great-granddaughter of the late Charlotte Adams of Beaver, Alaska. My maternal grandparents are Virginia Sweetser from Beaver and the late David Sweetser Sr. from Ruby. My parents are Don and Rob Walker from Fairbanks. I'm so honored for the invitation to speak to you all today at Doyon's annual meeting. For those of you who don't know me, my sister and I were born and raised in the Seattle area in a town called Maple Valley, Washington. I graduated in 2013 from Aviation High School in Des Moines, Washington, and I'm currently a senior at Stanford University. I'll be graduating this June with a Bachelor of Science in Science, Technology, and Society. As you all know, the theme for today is a dynamic force. When I was asked to speak, I reflected on what this theme meant in this context. I started my search for meaning in the most obvious place, with a standard dictionary definition. In physics, force is defined as mass times acceleration, the energy that contributes to movement. Dynamic means characterized by constant change, activity, or progress. When thinking about Doyon as a dynamic force under this definition, I think it's important to go back to our roots and look at our original incorporators and board members. The average age of a original Doyon board member was 29 years old, with the youngest member at the age of 23, which is just 1 year older than me. These young people were innovators. It's so important to recognize the groundbreaking work of those who came before us and worked so hard to set us up for success. In preparing for today, I listened to several interviews that I found online through the UAF and others with our original incorporators and board members. I went from being hopelessly uninformed and curious to being filled with gratitude and pride for what our people have been able to accomplish. There are a couple quotes that I want to share that highlight the vision for Doyon, as well as the extent of what they were able to do in the early years. When comparing the early days of Doyon to where we are now, John Sackett said, "You're already accepted today as part of the social and economic structure within the state. We were not accepted in those days at all. It had to be based on a strong belief of a lot of people within our people to want to do something or to be so persistent that we just kept going and ultimately made room, so that today it is so much easier for Tanana Chiefs, for Fairbanks Native Association, and ultimately Doyon to exist." And now that we are in this place, where there's space for our corporation to exist and have a voice, it's important for us to all continue to use our voice. In the words of Sam Keto Jr., he said, "We don't want a dictatorship. You have to come up and challenge whoever is in there. And if you think you can do a better job, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't wait for them to give it to you. Take it from them." It is this common spirit of innovation, hard work, and persistence that continues to inspire and drive me today. As part of my major program at Stanford, we are constantly pushed to see the world differently. I'm sure as I introduced myself in my major, you might have wondered, what does that mean? And I can assure you, you're not alone. When explaining my program to my friends, family, and prospective employers, I always return to the department's mission statement. The program in Science, Technology, and Society is a dynamic, interdisciplinary major that provides students with a liberal arts education for the 21st century. What I find interesting as I read this today is that my department also uses the word dynamic to describe itself. Was it fate? Probably. But what this means in practice is that I've taken courses in over 20 departments ranging from engineering, chemistry, and physics to psychology, anthropology, and political science. These varying perspectives allow us to understand the world through many different conceptual frameworks with a variety of analytical tools. Put more simply, the program teaches us to innovate, both inside and outside of the classroom. Outside of class, I put my education to work through a variety of projects and experiences. In the summer of 2014, following my freshman year at Stanford, I returned home to Seattle and worked with Alaska Airlines as a customer experience design intern. When I returned to campus, I ran for and was elected to the position of president of my sorority. Over the course of that year, I learned so much about myself and what it means to lead an organization. I attended our National President's Academy and summer convention that year, where I attended leadership workshops and networked with women from across the country. For the last 2.5 years, I've worked as a website production intern at the Stanford Law School. I was hired during our big website redesign project and was able to watch this process from beginning to end, working with vendors, designing pages, debugging software, working with clients, and more. They asked me to stay on campus for the summer of 2015 to continue with the project, but they didn't have the budget to hire me full-time. And if you know anything about housing in the Bay Area, you know it's just not possible to live on a part-time intern wage. So instead of declining the offer, I got creative. I was able to reach full-time status by splitting my hours between 3 different teams: social, media relations, and website. And this experience exposed me to a range of communications roles that I initially had no interest in, but really ended up enjoying. Following this experience, I felt qualified and ready to apply to Doyon's summer internship in communications, where I truly blossomed professionally. I really appreciated the thought that Doyon put into the internship program. We were provided access to all of senior management in rotating weekly sessions with each department. As an intern, I was exposed to many aspects of the company that I wasn't expecting. My projects included contributing articles for the monthly shareholder newsletter, creating a promotional video for the Doyon internship program, and working with the Get Out the Native Vote initiative. Today, I continue to work with Doyon and Get Out the Native Vote as a social media consultant. Working on this initiative has helped me grow in 2 major ways. First, I've learned a lot about content creation and follower engagement. Shameless plug, go follow us, GOTNV Interior on Facebook and Twitter. I take a few minutes every morning and round up some relevant news about what's happening in the world. And then the second way that this project has contributed to my growth is in my academics. When I first started my internship with Doyon, I was only marginally interested in politics and hardly ever spent any time reading the news. Working on Get Out the Native Vote forced me to keep up with the news and develop a deeper understanding of the political process. I've taken this newly developed interest into my coursework. This quarter, I took an introductory class on public policy and politics, and in our project, we looked at natural resource development in Alaska. I was able to use the knowledge I gained in my internship, as well as learn even more about the state that I tend to call home. My relationship with Doyon has evolved dramatically in the last 5 years. When I was young, Doyon just meant a check in the mail and a trip to the mall. But as I entered high school and began thinking about my future, I learned that Doyon Foundation provides scholarships to shareholders. This fact became increasingly important as I was visiting colleges and examining financial aid packages from various institutions. As a Native student, as a first-generation college student, as a student receiving large amounts of financial aid, the pressure can quite honestly feel overwhelming at times. I'd like to share one final quote from original Doyon incorporator. When Tim Wallace was asked what advice he would give to young Native people, he said, "Keep focused on the Native people. It's really easy to get sidetracked on what you want to do. Just about any area that you want an education in will help in one way or another, even in small ways. Stick with it." Thanks to my 4 years of Doyon Foundation scholarships, I'll be graduating on time and debt-free this spring. My junior year, thank you. My junior year, I was awarded a Morris Thompson Memorial Competitive Scholarship from Doyon Foundation. And some of you may recognize me as the student speaker from the Morris Thompson Memorial Golf Classic this past summer. The Doyon Foundation scholarships filled the gaps in my institutional financial aid and really allowed me to focus my time outside of class on finding my place on campus and developing meaningful, lasting relationships. I am so grateful for Doyon's investments in its students. It truly is an investment in our corporation's future. If there's one thing I've learned over the course of the last year, it's that Doyon will always be my home. I am so grateful for all of the opportunities and support I have received in so many ways, and I encourage all Doyon shareholders, especially the youth, to get involved wherever you can. Every year when the Doyon Foundation scholarship application deadline approached, I always dreaded writing up my answers. There are 4 essay questions on the application that cover different topic areas: educational goals, professional goals, extracurricular activities, and contributions to a healthy Native community. These questions forced me to sit down and think about that looming question: what am I going to do with my life? This past cycle, I decided to read through all of my old submissions. As I read them, I laughed at my past self. Did I really think that's where I was going to end up? I'm so glad I didn't major in chemistry. My freshman year me had no idea what she was doing. But the act of sitting down year after year and answering those questions allowed me to reflect on what was important to me in that moment. In our efforts to remain humble, I think oftentimes it is too easy to understate how hard we work. I'm not up here to promote myself for the purpose of boosting my ego. In fact, I truly dread public speaking. But I'm here because I know I'm not unique among Doyon's 19,600 shareholders. I'm here because I want you to know that anything is possible. Looking back, I was in way over my head when I signed up for all of the things I've decided to do. But I also think I have that same bug that Doyon's original incorporators had. I made an attempt to narrate my life today as if it happened in some kind of clean and linear progression, because it's just what you have to do when you're trying to tell a story. But that's not how life is. I've never started anything with an assumption that I'd be successful or that it would necessarily lead to some specific next step. But you just have to get up every day and keep trying and working as hard as you can, for as long as you can, and in the end, you'll end up right where the world needs you to be. And while I don't know where the world plans to take me, I'm excited for all the experiences I'll pick up along the way. Thank you. Masi.